CBC Evening News.
Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom. This is the CBC Evening News. Barbados is taking the lead in renewable energy in CARICOM, and the stage is now set for the opening of the Caribbean Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Center here on the island. Prime Minister Fandel Stewart, who will officially open the facility on October 28th, explains why Barbados is the choice for the new agency.
Other CARICOM countries that compete for it, Barbados is the chosen location for it because the focus in the region now, generally, but the focus in Barbados in particular, is on renewable sources of energy. So, Barbados has to be a more economically viable society.
Prime Minister Stewart, who is also a CARICOM chairman, was speaking over the weekend at the annual general meeting of the Barbados Agricultural Society. There, he also called on stakeholders in agriculture, tourism and manufacturing not to give up on a memorandum of understanding signed by players in those sectors earlier this year.
Since that memorandum was signed, I know that there have been some expressions of disappointment that it has not worked as smoothly as the parties to it would have wished. But let me just warn that we should not mistake a moment in time for eternity. It's still a young memorandum. There are still kinks to be ironed out. There is still confidence to be built. But I think that the parties to that memorandum should stick to it so that in the fullness of time, all three sides get the results that they want.
Meanwhile, it appears local farmers are getting more contracts to sell their produce. Word of this from BAS Chief Executive Officer James Paul. He says it has resulted in farmers putting more land into cultivation to meet demand.
The fact that BAS has been able to secure contracts to supply the school meals department with a number of commodities has provided additional market opportunities for local farmers. Further, the continuing relationship with Sandals and Massey Supercenter has been a bonus for the local farmers who would otherwise not have a market for the produce. It is hoped that as these relationships continue, a greater variety of produce along with greater quantities of produce will be marketed.
A tragedy today as a former soldier is found dead. It all unfolded in Bay Street this morning. A sobbing wife and the look of shock on the faces of family members and friends greeted a CBC team when we arrived at the Nautilus Apartments on Bay Street this afternoon. It was a scene none of them expected. The lifeless body of 56-year-old Sean Reese, who up until 4 years ago was a member of the Barbados Defence Force. The circumstances have not been revealed, but police say a gunshot was heard around 9:30 and Reese's body was found in an apartment with an injury to the head. A firearm was also found in the room. One man who was with family and friends during the initial investigations said those present were too distraught to speak with the media. Reese, a former major, was a 29-year veteran of the Army. In a statement issued through its acting public relations officer, Captain Gail Morgan, the BDF confirmed that Reese was a member from 1982 until he retired in December 2011. It said the BDF is deeply saddened by news of the former sailor's untimely death and extended sincere condolences to his family and friends during this most difficult period. Police have described the death as unnatural and say their investigations are ongoing. The United Nations Children's Fund, or UNICEF, will step in to help the Child Care Board address the situation relating to child abuse in Barbados. Social Care Minister Steve Blackett made the announcement during a service at the St. George Parish Church yesterday to mark the 25th anniversary of Barbados's ratification of the UN Convention on the Rights of a Child. The theme this year is Healing the Ravages of Child Abuse.
A special committee has been established to review internal protection procedures, including the case management information system of the Child Care Board. We have also been offered a consultant by UNICEF to work with the Child Care Board for a period of 6 months in the first instance to identify any institutional weaknesses and to subsequently strengthen them. We have also concretized our protocolary relationship with the Royal Barbados Police Force.
While not giving exact numbers, the Social Care Minister reports that child abuse figures for this year have already surpassed those for 2014. That's why he says his ministry is reviewing and updating legislation to better respond to the issue. Mr. Blackett says there are a number of questions that must now be answered.
How can one heal the ravages of child abuse, and how can we mend a broken child? While child abuse rears its ugly head in several forms, the most commonly seen is sexual abuse. It is often difficult for a survivor of child sexual abuse to talk about what happened to him or to her. Sometimes, the memory of trauma is buried in the victim's subconscious for many years. Some adult survivors think that because the abuse happened during childhood, it is too late to begin the healing process. That is not true. It is never too late to begin to heal.
Well, there's still no comfort tonight for the families of two missing women. The search continues for Emilia John and Marcel Smith. It's almost 2 weeks since John was reported missing. The 18-year-old is reported to have left her home on Wednesday, October 7th, and has not been seen since. Meanwhile, 75-year-old Smith was reported missing last Wednesday. Her vehicle was found on Chelston Park, Culloden Road and St. Michael yesterday. Police and family have since launched fresh appeals for information leading to the whereabouts of their missing loved ones. Searches were also conducted by police, family and friends. We'll have more news just ahead, but first we want to get your take on this question. Do you think there is now a greater awareness of child abuse in Barbados? Text yes or no to short code 8111. We'll have the results for you at the end of the news.
Luxury is now available and covered in chocolate. Introducing new Choc Ice from Bico, the luxury ice cream treat with real rich chocolate coating. Choc Ice is available island-wide from retail outlets, Bico Mobilers, and the Bico Direct outlet. So indulge in luxury today with Choc Ice from Bico.
Here comes a very special time of the year. You're dreaming of the colors that will be everywhere. Harris is your first choice. Color your Christmas.
Make Harris Bakes your first choice this Christmas for a whole lot less. There's 20% off Perma, 25% off kitchen and bathroom, and 30% off all Ultimate Plus paints, plus the ever-durable Trouble Tex Natural for just $98. So dream in color this Christmas with Harris Bakes, the Caribbean champions of color.
Harris is your first choice. Color your Christmas. Pop, pop.
Fruta, taste the real Fruta. Enjoy the real Fruta. Refreshing juice of every day. Whoa, Fruta.
Hi, I'm Red Plastic Bag. Anyone who knows me knows I don't like cold. Sunshine reigns in my country. I love it.
Get your sun power.
Four years on since the Queen Elizabeth Hospital faced an outbreak of Klebsiella pneumonia, the Infection Control Department has expanded its response to combat any such recurrence. According to Minister of Health John Boyce, infection control is about being proactive through identifying risks and hazards before any outbreak occurs. He welcomed ongoing activities marking the second Infections Control Week, which opened this morning at the QEH. Awards were presented to a number of staff in several areas relating to the field. Mr. Boyce notes that though the hospital continues to maintain surveillance of healthcare-associated infections, in recent times the facility has seen an increase in the presence of bacteria.
Mainly MRSA. There's of course another word for that, but I will leave that with the professionals this morning. But let's settle for MRSA. Klebsiella pneumonia in our critical care settings especially the high dependency unit and the medical intensive care unit. It has been reported that this increase is linked to antibiotic misuse and inadequate hand washing on these units.
Mr. Boyce says the prevention of MRSA and infection in acute care facilities is a serious public health challenge. In response, he says the Ministry of Health has adopted a multi-pronged approach to the management of infections.
That in time it will minimize the burden it poses to individuals, families, our society, and the serious drain on public health finances. To this end, there are plans to establish a strong antimicrobial stewardship program at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. The elements of the program will include an infectious disease consultant and the infection control officer, who will focus specifically on antimicrobial use and antimicrobial resistance.
And CEO of the hospital, Dr. Dexter James, says the QEH is one of the first in the region to promote antimicrobial stewardship programs. That program, he said, engages doctors on prescribing patterns of antibiotics.
Globally and regionally, the use of antimicrobial agents is the key driving force for the emergence of antimicrobial resistance. Antibiotic resistance is of increasing prevalence amongst gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, as well as fungal pathogens in both the community and hospital settings. There's a saying that goes, those who write prescriptions control healthcare treatment costs.
New faces are needed in the local trade union movement. That's the view of Principal of the Barbados Workers Union Labour College, Doreen Dean. She feels an injection of youth is required to meet the challenges ahead. Her comments came at the opening of a BWU Regional Youth Seminar titled Building Bridges Across the Region.
Leaders between the years who were born between 1945 and 1956, and I purposely left myself out of the age group because I didn't want to be among the past generation. But as they retire from the leadership of unions and from the ranks of union members, younger leaders, activists, and members are needed to carry on the work of the labor movement.
The Labour College head also thinks it's time a regional trade union youth movement is created. Well, dozens of Christchurch Girls' School students have new responsibilities from today. They've been entrusted with the position of prefect and their roles outlined at an installation ceremony. Kimita Jones was there and filed this report.
Leadership comes with power which must not be abused. This warning from featured speaker at the Christchurch Girls' School prefect installation ceremony, Pastor Selwyn Brathwaite. He says the 55 prefects, including the head girl and deputy, have been given a special responsibility to assist the teachers in maintaining order in the school.
It means now that you are accountable first to those who put you in charge and then to those who you are in charge of. You have to set standards and you have to lead by your example. It is important as leaders that you use your time wisely.
The students were also reminded that in their role as prefects, they would be assessed. Principal Sharon Knight made her clear expectations of the new prefects.
I expect the prefects to demonstrate excellence in everything that they do. Excellence in their behavior, excellence in their dress, excellence in their speech, and excellence even in their manners.
Among the new prefects is Kiana Banfield, who last year underwent about a dozen surgeries as she battled a life-threatening virus.
I feel very good, feel like I can give the younger children an example of how to behave properly and behave good so that they can strive to their excellence.
Another prefect, Jada Murray, shares her feelings about this new assignment.
I feel happy, excited, and good.
Moments after receiving the badge of duty, Deputy Head Girl Naya Brathwaite tells us how she wants to lead by example.
I like them to see me doing good things and great things and helping the school. Yes, I'm being kind and generous. I'm being fair and having patience.
Meanwhile, head girl Elena Scanterbury is happy about the new privilege but is conscious that she will now be watched even more closely by her classmates.
I'll be practicing fairness and firmness. I would like them to see me being constructive and not talking in class and things like that.
With more helpers on board to ensure a well-functioning primary school, Christchurch girls will continue to strive for excellence. Kimita Jones, CBC News.
Thank you, Kimita. The 6-time Emmy Award television host of A Taste of History is in Barbados and discovering the heart and soul of our local cuisine. Sandals culinary ambassador Walter Stabe has been visiting tourist sites on the island, filming the way legendary recipes are prepared. Ambassador Stabe gave his thoughts on Barbadian cooking.
What I like about this is the